Hey Mill Creek, today we're going to look at structures and property of matter and the different objectives. First thing that I want to start off with is talking about the vocabulary. For a lot of you, this is the first time you've ever been exposed to introductory chemistry topics, and the vocabulary is a little bit different. So what I decided to do is go off of the Quizlet, and instead of making flashcards like I have noticed most students doing, since you guys already know how to do that, I decided to make a little flip chart. So all I did was fold my paper in half, like so. And then I wrote down 10 words on one page, and I folded another page in half and then did 10 words on another, and just followed along with the Quizlet with the different vocabulary. So after I added my 10 words, I made sure to cut in between each word so that when you flip this open, you can see the definition underneath. And like I said, I just followed along with the Quizlet for each one. And you're only cutting through just half of the paper. So if you notice, only half the paper's cut. This is still all put together. So when you cut them all apart, it ends up looking like that. This side is all solid, and I just drew lines so that I knew where my definition should end, so that I could flip just one of them and read exactly what I have. I also decided to add pictures because I know myself as a learner, and I know that words can help, but also pictures will help me remember better. So I included words and a picture for each one, just a little quick sketch. So I do have these samples in my classroom hanging on the board. So if you wanted to take a peek at my different images, since those aren't on the Quizlet, feel free to utilize those resources on my board and kind of check over what you have done yourself. So that's super helpful. That's the first thing I did for this playlist to help me understand just some of the different key terms that I'll be reading about. So that's the first step. Then I decided that I wanted to go over some notes for Objective 1. Objective 1's all about atoms, molecules, elements, and compounds. So I took some notes on the topic. And today, most of our notes are going to be more of like a thinking map. So the way that I started it off was creating a box at the very tippy top, and I titled my box Atoms. There we go. Get you a little bit closer. So I labeled the playlist that I'm working on, I labeled the objective that I'm working on, and I started off with atoms. Since this might be the first time that we're looking at atoms, I made sure that I defined it as well. So atoms are the smallest unit of matter. So if you look at my flip chart, it's the smallest unit of matter that retains its properties of an element. So I included just a simplified version of that. So atoms can make up two different things. They can make up elements, which are pure substances made of only one kind of atom. These would be found on your periodic table. But atoms can also make up molecules. So molecules are two or more atoms that are bonded together. And elements also can make up molecules. And we'll go through some picture examples to kind of clarify that as well. Molecules can make up one more thing. Molecules can make up compounds. Compounds are two or more different atoms bonded together. So these will all like flow together. So molecules will make up the compounds. The other thing I wanted to add that I know is a key term that pops up, especially on our content assessment and our resources, is pure substances. Pure substances consist of only one type of molecule. Okay, so molecule can have 2 or more different atoms, but a pure substance is only one type of molecule. So, as you're following along and taking notes, I use different colors for my different atoms that I had. So I decided that I'm going to draw some pictures, and I'm going to tell you what these diagrams represent and what they don't represent. So I used yellow for a hydrogen atom, I used green for an oxygen atom, and I used this like orangey pink for a nitrogen atom. So here are my first 2 diagrams. So like I said, so like orangey pink is nitrogen atoms, so I put 2 nitrogen atoms together right here and 2 nitrogen atoms together right here. And then I told you the green was oxygen and the yellow is a hydrogen, so I did 3 oxygen atoms and I attached 2 hydrogen atoms to each one for the second picture. So we're going to talk about just the first picture right now. This diagram on this first picture, it'll represent the following things. It is 2 molecules of a nitrogen gas. Remember, molecules are 2 or more atoms that are bonded together, and I have 2 atoms of nitrogen that are bonded together. So I have 2 molecules of nitrogen there. It is also a pure substance because it only has these 2 nitrogen molecules. So I only see nitrogen in this picture, so it is pure. This diagram does not represent any compounds because there's only 1 element of nitrogen in each of these molecules. So it is not a compound. So this is a molecule, and it's also representing a pure substance, but it is not a compound. It is made up of atoms, and nitrogen is an element, so those are also included in there as well. For my bottom one, okay, like I said, I've got my oxygen and my hydrogen. This represents 3 molecules of water. 1, 2, 3 molecules of water. It is a pure substance because there are only H2O molecules present. Okay, so I have 3 H2O molecules present. And it is a compound because there are 2 elements in each molecule. So I have hydrogen and an oxygen in one of those molecules, making it a compound. All right, I drew a third image. Again, oops, I think I changed my colors on you guys. I did change my colors on you. The blue is my oxygen, the yellow is my hydrogen, and the green is my nitrogen. Sorry, I ended up switching colors when I flipped the page. This diagram represents 2 molecules of water. 1, 2. And there's also 2 molecules of nitrogen gas. 1, 2. It is only 1 type of compound, which is the water, because compounds are made of more than 1 element or more than 1 different type of element. And it's also called a mixture, which is something that you're not really tested on, but just so you know the difference, since there are more than 1 type of molecule, it is called a mixture. So I've got water and nitrogen. There's 2 different molecules, so it is classified as a mixture. It is not a pure substance though, because there's more than 1 type of molecule present. So I've got my H2O and I've got my N2. So it is not a pure substance. So what I would like you to do in your notes after you've copied all of that down, and feel free to pause whenever you need to so that you can copy things down and take your time. But what I would like you to do is draw me this picture, carbon in the middle, 2 oxygen on the outside, and then write down these questions. What is or what are the atoms? What are the elements? And what is the molecule for this image right here? And then once you have that in your notes, take your time to write down your answers. And then what I'd like you to do is pause this now so that I don't give away the answers before you can actually answer it. So pause the video. Now that you've taken the time to actually answer these questions, I'm going to give you the answers that I have. So, what is or what are the atoms? There is 1 atom of carbon, and there are 2 atoms of oxygen in this picture. The elements are carbon and oxygen. Those are 2 different elements that would be on the periodic table. And what is this molecule? I have a 1 C and I've got 2 O's. So I've got CO2. CO2 represents carbon dioxide, which would be the molecule.